Okay, so we're on page Kuflamed Beis, and we are on the line that begins with Midaitoi. Which is 5 lines from the beginning. In the beginning of this page, Rebbe speaks about the relationship between Midas and Moichin, and he explains that when Moichin come to the full expression, Midas surface automatically, because they are contained in the Moichin. And similarly, there are quotes from the Gemara that if you want to explain the deepest secrets of the creation, you must not speak to anyone, or speak only to one who has an understanding of it on his own. And he only allude to it, bring it to his attention, but he has a sense of it, midaita, his own mind, his own seichel is alert, and therefore he is able to relate to it. Okay, now we go to the next. Aval, however, his havus yesh meyayin, in his havus, in the bringing forth. I explained the way why the word his havus over here, because here this is not anything from his galus yesh meyayin, it's his havus. It is creating, making a new entity of yesh from ayin. Excuse me. There is not a source for it in the ayin. Therefore, the correct word for this is not his galus, but his havus. Heva means to exist, to bring to existence. To bring to existence yesh from ayin. Clearly, this cannot be b'derech mamela, because the ayin does not contain the basis for the yesh. How then does the yesh come into being from the ayin? It's yesh meyayin. And here the Rebbe explains, and here is where we have to put on our thinking caps. Ki'im, only exclusive, except al-idei hislapshus ha'ayin ha'eliki. As a result, and al-idei as a result, and through the process of hislapshus ha'ayin ha'eliki, where the ayin ha'eliki focuses itself. Hislapshus ha'ayin ha'eliki focuses itself means that the ayin ha'eliki makes an internal decision to bring itself out in a form of yesh. Lahaves is a yesh. Hislapshus on here, lahaves is a yesh, to bring into existence the yesh. We explained yesterday. I'm going to repeat it because it's important and it will help us to understand. What is the additional ayin ha'eliki? Ayin. Hislapshus ha'ayin. What is the eliki add to this phrase, and that makes it more real to us? We should be able to relate to it. So we explained eliki means that of the master. Something about eliki, the master. The master, we do not question the master. The master, we do not know on what basis the master makes his decisions. The master we obey, we follow, because he is the master. Please understand what that means. There is not a dichotomy. There is not two separate entities, the master and the one who follows him. The following of the master is not a decision on the part of the one who follows him. It's a direct result of him being the master, and therefore that automatically follows into the follower. The relationship between the master and the follower is total. Because the follower has rendered completely his decision-making abilities and right to the master. Whatever you say, that is what happens with me. We discussed it a little bit yesterday, and I think that's sufficient. We understand what that means. This is why this Ha'ayin Ha'eliki. Ha'ayin Ha'eliki means, yes, he's mislavish, but he remains Eliki, he remains above. He remains the master. Does not become part of his habus. So when the Ayin Eliki is mislavish, what is the allusion by the word mislavish? It's mislavish, lahavish is hayesh. It's mislavish to bring forth the existence of the yesh. What are these things? What is the relationship between these aspects? I hope you'll be able to focus in and understand it. Maybe midaita, to find it in our own mind.
Where are we? Which line are we?
We are on the line that begins with Eliki. This is 6 lines from the top. I'll put from the place. He slaps his wine on the key. We gave the mashal yesterday, and we'll go back to the mashal because otherwise we won't have anything tangible to talk about. One mashal is a principal in the school. The principal in the school, it's interesting, it's a good mashal. Why? Because a teacher stands with the teachers in the room and teaches them. There is a real interrelationship. They're talking about the same thing. The principal is a kind of entity. He's all over the place and he's nowhere. What does he do? And yet we call him the principal. He is the principal. He's the central force behind this whole school. He has the position of the master. He's there and he's not there at the same time. And this is what enables him to create an entity called a school.
To remain on this call, press 1.
What is this entity called a school? There are teachers and there are all kinds of different things that occur. The principle that he is in the school, that does not give the student anything of a tangible sense. When he goes into the classroom and he learns from his teacher, he learns something. The school only elicits by the student a sense of obedience and respect, nothing else. I was watching one time. There is our guy who is a principal in the system. I can't forget his name. Everybody knows who he is. So when he first took over the school, the whole world, the New York Times, the world in Israel, they came and they took videos of him. I watched a very simple episode. So there was a group of students. These are the students that he's dealing with. And he's standing there on the side. And one of the students, there's a line. One of the students came and he broke into the line. So he comes over to him and kicks him by his hand. Says, "Don't you ever think of it." He pulls him out and puts it right in his hand. Nothing else. And he is the one who runs the school. Because when he runs, he doesn't run. He gives it a sense of reality. Again, here's the point. Sorry. The students obey the principal, not because they realize that he knows what he is doing. Not because he's got his education, his background. There's a principal element in there, which is beyond their understanding completely. They know him, not via his qualifications. They know him via his relationship to them. He is their principal. That's the end of the story. Ayin Eliki. This is important for us to reflect and see. We have a whole world, and we are ourselves very important in entities. The real presence of the world and of ourselves, what makes us be, what gives us a sense of existence, of reality, is that there is a boss who says, "You are here." And that is manifested in the fact that we have mitzvahs, manifested in the fact that we have rules and so forth. But this is what makes us be, and this is not because we do mitzvahs, we do these things and we look like human beings. No. It's because His presence is there. This is what makes it be. This is Slapshus Ho'ayin Holiki. The master is mislabish. The master translates himself in being a master. That itself is a decision on the part of the master. Again, can take the example of the principal. The principal is not principal by virtue of his education. He is principal by virtue of his undertaking the job of being a principal of the school. Taking responsibility. That's it. And this is the Hislapshus. Hislapshus means that he identifies himself. The Ayin Eliki is identifying himself with the union of bringing forth a yesh. But he remains Eliki, he remains a aluf, he remains the master. He says, "You be," and therefore you be. And that is his Hislapshus. And this is the pshat, that it's not the derech memela, but it is rather to his Hislapshus. And here is a point which I'd like to bring to the forefront. If we understand what we discussed now, we will realize that when we identify a yesh, there's a yesh, the creation. What you're really looking at is the Ayin Eliki in the form of a yesh. The yesh is a continuous divine miracle. There is no basis for yesh. no matter how long it will be. I once was giving a class in the Chabad house, and I picked this up, and I said, see, I'm holding it in my hand. Can we project that this thing is being suspended, let's say, for a very long time? Can we suspend it for long enough that it will stay on its own in the same position? Because it got used to that position, and now it will stay on its own. So I had a group of people. So they all said, no, it's not going to say. But there's one smart aleck over there and says, yeah, it'll stay by its own. But after a while, I hear an egg says, no, it's not going to stay by its own. There is nothing real in its own state. So if it stays, it's because there is the Ayin Elikit that holds it up. That gives it its yeshus. The Ayin Elikit decided that there should be a yesh, and this yesh is a yesh of the kind that he orients himself. He recognizes his own presence, and his relationship to the Ayin is by obedience. But his obedience is total, and this is what gives him a real presence. Let me take it one more step further and we understand the significance of this. This yesh is totally oblivious. He had no understanding where he comes from and how come and what is the power behind his being. And yet, this yesh has full confidence that in a few hours it will be night, and then a few hours later it's going to be day. And then it's going to be all kinds of different seasonal changes and all that. He's 100% confidence. What's his confidence from? What is his? This is the Ayin or the key that creates all of this. So he's conscious of the Ayin or the key that creates the whole system in which he lives, and he's so confident to be 100% expecting to be. Without not that he's convinced, it's reality. What's so real about it? This is the yesh. So it's a yesh, and the yesh is representative 100% of the Ayin Elikit that makes him be. And he senses that he is a representative of the Ayin Elikit. And he cannot deviate from that. He cannot decide, no, now it's day. No, now it's night. It's exactly the way the Ayin Elikit decides. That's the way he is. This is slapshus Ayin Elikit lahavis is a yesh, to give the yesh a presence. A yesh, and we explained the word yesh means something that exists on its own, without substantiation as to where it comes from. Is a real presence. Ayin Elikit gives him that presence. So when he looks at himself, I'm here, I'm sure I'm here, because Ayin Elikit told me that I'm here. Let's continue. Do a hefresh. As it's known, a hefresh, the difference between the following two expressions, forms, nivroun and lebara. Both are rooted to the word bria, creation, but there is two different grammatical variations. We all know that Lashon Kodesh is an extremely versatile language. As a matter of fact, for those who are not familiar, there are what's called 7 binyanim, 7 different ways that you can express the same word. Nivro and bara. Nivro means they happen to be created. That's also nifa. They were created, but they are not a participant in that process. The force behind it is the one who makes it be. They don't have a basis for that being.
Did you say they don't participate?
No, they don't. No, Nivro, they were going to.
Okay.
Bara, what bara means he created. That means that I see the creator. Nivro means I don't see the creator. I just surface and I don't know from where. Bara means he created. So where is the he? The he is he.
It's he, the creator.
That's right. But there is a creator.
Yeah.
Nivro does not allude to the creator.
No, it's nifal. It's a
Nifal.
passive. Like passive.
I know. Passive.
He's done two.
That's right. He's done too. That's right. He's not involved. That's right. So this is the difference between Nivro and Bara. The Nivro, and the other explains, the Nivro, when the word Nivro, Hu Shenase B'derech Mamela. That alludes to that which happens B'derech Mamela automatically.
Can I ask something?
Just one second. Ve'ein zeh b'bchinas yesh adayim. But that nivro, even though it also has the word nivro means created. And the Rebbe now is going to give us what he means by yesh. We should focus in. This is not b'bchinas yesh adayim. It does not has the bechina. It does not have it doesn't qualify as a yesh. Adai. Even though he's present. But it's not bechinas yesh. What is missing in this presence that is not a bechina yesh? Bechinas yesh. Please understand. He is a tangible presence. What is not bechinas yesh? So this is my example. I said, I'm holding this up. Is this in the air or it's not in the air? Of course it is in the air. If you want to take it, you have to lift your hand and reach it. But it doesn't have bechinas yesh. It does not have a real presence in that position of its own. That is not bechinas yesh. Adayin. Even though it has full qualifications for existence, it is really there. It's a real presence. But it is not bechinas yesh adayin. The bechinas yesh is a different category. The bechinas yesh is a yesh that exists that independently of everything else. Who can create something independent of anything else? Only that which is completely independent on its own. The key. Only he can create something of total independence. Why can't I hold this up? Please follow this. Long enough in this that it should stay by itself in here. The answer is, because I myself am not independent of the ground on which I sit. So this is just a precarious existence. This is not real. This is nivro. They were created and they're tangible presence. But eine bechinas yesh adayin. This is not a real bechina of yesh. Bechina of yesh is something which is independent of presence. It has an independent presence. What then, if we're talking now in real terms, in the reality, in the nivro, they got created. Where is that nivro come from? It's a reality. There is such a thing, nivro. Hu amar vayehi, nivro. So where is the nivro come from? What does it represent? So the Rebbe explains. Shezehu ha'yizhavus. This refers to the yizhavus. Shoishihi misham havaya. This is yizhavus as it comes and emanates and surfaces misham havaya. The Shem Havaya and the Shem Elikim. Let me see if I can kind of bring this to the forefront, just understand what that means. Shem Havaya means existence. It's a true presence. Wherever you turn, it's the same presence. Within that presence, there could be a yesh, and it is part of this presence. It's not a real yesh, because this presence allows for every kind of existence. When you have a world which is a non-entity, in order for something to be, it has to have a real presence. But when you are in Shem Havaya, everything exists in Shem Havaya. So this existence is not a real yeshus, that it exists on its own. So his harvest, Shem Havaya, this is called Nivro. There's a presence, a tangible presence. But the reason it's present is because it is embraced. It is within existence altogether. There is no such thing as non-existence. Therefore it exists. That's Ein Bechinis Yesh Adai. So there could be a Yizhavus for Shem Havaya, not only for Shem Elikim, but the Yizhavus for Shem Havaya is a Yizhavus, but it's not a real Yizhavus. It's not a real Yesh, because it's completely embraced by the existence of Shem, by the presence of Shem Havaya. Yizhavus are Yesh Mamash, whereas when the Yesh Mamash is being created, a real Yesh Mamash, a true Yesh, Ksiv, there the Pasuk says, Bereshis Bora Elikim. Bereshis Bora Elikim, Elikim, first of all, it's Elikim, not Havaya. Elikim means the master. The master, as we have already explained, the master is something that stands aloof, he's in his own reality. You don't know anything about the master. All you know from the master is what he tells you, what he commands. You don't know anything of himself. Bereshis Bora Elikim, that's Nivra. Bora means Bebechinas, he slapshows. Bora means that he created. That means he himself got involved in this. He bechinas his slapshows, and his slapshows HaKoyach HaPoyel BeHanifa.